I used to work at a boarding school where one of the common rooms had a dishwasher that the staff could use. One day when I went to run it, I discovered several detergent tablets still sealed in their wrappers, lying at the bottom of the machine. Picture this. I was at a friend's house last night, sipping on lukewarm cider. By choice, don't judge me. When I watched them load their dishwasher, that's when it hit me. They were putting the soap tablet into the designated compartment. For 7 years, I've just been throwing the soap directly into the bottom of the dishwasher, like some clueless raccoon stumbling upon modern technology. Why doesn't my dishwasher work properly? I'd wonder while scraping dried food off plates. I figured it was just bad luck. Now my dishes are spotless, my confidence is shattered, and I'm pretty sure my dishwasher has been judging me silently all this time. Has anyone else been living a lie? How did you realize it? P.S. Yes, my friend laughed. Yes, I deserved it. A roommate once remarked, "My car feels kind of sluggish." I asked, "When was the last time you changed the oil?" Their response, "You're supposed to change the oil?" This was a 4-year-old car with tons of miles on it. Apparently, the oil had basically turned to sludge and, according to them, the mechanic needed compressed air to deal with it. The car did run better afterward. I have a friend who spent over 5 years holding down the gas pump trigger the entire time he was fueling up. When I pointed out the little lock that automatically shuts off when the tank is full, the look on his face was priceless, like someone discovering a hidden world in their own home. My wife believed that dishwashers completely filled up with water during their cycles. I absolutely blew her mind by opening the dishwasher while it was running and putting a fork inside. My friend's girlfriend used to preheat the microwave as if it were an oven. I only recently discovered that you can leave your phone on silent mode and your alarm will still go off. This way you don't get woken up by random texts or notifications during the night. For years, I'd wake up to unimportant messages, not realizing this simple fix. I once sat in a drive-thru line for 10 minutes before I realized I was actually just parked behind a stationary car. I have a confession. While visiting my sister, I watched her grab a brand new box of aluminum foil and punch holes into both sides of the box. Confused, I asked why she did that, and she explained it was to lock the roll in place when pulling out sheets. I've spent my entire adult life wrestling with aluminum foil and never knew those tabs were there. This isn't about me, but my brother once complained that every toaster he's ever owned ends up smelling like burnt toast after a few months, even though the bread isn't burned. When I asked how often he empties the crumb tray, he stared at me with the blankest expression I've ever seen. I once dated a guy who was a science teacher and thought you only needed fabric softener to wash clothes. I like to believe I helped him start smelling much fresher. I owned a coat I adored for over 10 years, always saying the only thing I didn't love about it was that it lacked a hood. It was a military-style jacket, and one day I met a charming guy who mentioned he used to have one just like it and loved it too. I asked if his biggest gripe had also been the missing hood. He gave me a puzzled look, took my coat, flipped the collar down, and revealed a hidden zipper. He unzipped it to reveal a perfectly intact hood that had been neatly tucked away in my worn-out coat for over a decade. My jaw hit the floor, and I ended up marrying him. At a garage sale, I spotted a fairly new Hoover upright vacuum priced at $5. When I asked if I could test it, the seller said, "Sure, but it doesn't pick up dirt." The motor sounded fine, so I bought it. Once home, I replaced the stuffed-to-bursting bag, swapped out the broken belt, and cut away the hair clogging the brush roll. It was a disgusting job, but for just $5, I ended up with a practically new vacuum cleaner. Apparently, the previous owner skipped all maintenance and opted to buy a replacement instead. Here's a worse one. When I was 22, I shared an apartment with a girl who ran the tiniest loads of laundry imaginable. Think 2 socks and a blouse. Where I lived, water wasn't directly metered, so she didn't see an issue. When I brought it up, saying that while water might be free, electricity wasn't, she looked at me like I was crazy and said, "Electricity? What are you talking about? Washing machines run on water." I moved out a few weeks later. 58 MM. Back in 2018, I bought a 2-year-old Mazda 6 with remote keyless entry. My previous cars also had keyless entry, but they still had manual keyholes on the doors. This car didn't have keyholes, just a button on the door handle. I didn't realize you could lock or unlock the doors by pressing that button, so I always used the remote. Worse, the car automatically locked all doors when one was shut. When I was dating someone, I'd hold the passenger door open for her, close it, and then walk to my door, dig out my keys, and use the remote to unlock the car. Every single time. After 6 months, when we broke up, one of the last things she said to me was, "By the way, there's a button on the door handle that unlocks the doors." She had known all along. This isn't my story, but it's one I witnessed. Years ago, a coworker and I drove to an event about 90 minutes away. She picked me up in her relatively new Toyota or Nissan. After the event, she asked me to drive back because she was tired. About 20 minutes into the drive, I noticed the windshield was dirty, so I used the wiper lever to spray washer fluid and clean it. As I did this, my coworker suddenly yelled, "What's that?" Confused, I asked, "What's what?" She pointed at the windshield and said, "That water! Where's it coming from?" I pulled the lever again and replied, "It's windshield washer fluid. You just pull the lever to clean the glass." Her shocked response, "Oh my God, I had no idea." Somehow, she'd never used or even realized her car had windshield washer fluid, let alone thought about refilling it. It left me speechless. I had a cousin in her 30s who didn't know how to boil eggs properly. She complained that no matter how long she boiled them, sometimes up to an hour, they never became soft. It turned out she didn't realize you had to peel them after cooking. She threw away 2 full cartons of eggs because she thought the shells were supposed to boil off. About 4 years ago, my wife was living with her brother to help share rent after his ex-girlfriend moved out. One day she asked if she should buy more of the same dishwashing pods. His response was, "Not sure, they work well, but they're so hard to peel open." He had been peeling the pods open and sprinkling the detergent into the dishwasher for months. It's like discovering that your oven door has a slot to clean the inside of the glass. Rialto. Wait, it has what now? I lost a necklace that I treasured for years. 2 years later, I found it in the water trap of my washing machine. I had watched a reel on Instagram about how often you're supposed to open and clean that compartment. It was a shock. A miracle, really. Lesson learned. I knew a girl who thought you got a tan from the heat of the sun, not its rays. One winter, I saw her sitting by the fireplace in a bikini, trying to maintain her tan. It's proof that no matter how smart you are, someone else can always top your ignorance. My best friend once complained about how hard it was to store tongs in a drawer. I showed her that pulling the tab at the end locks them closed. She was blown away. She even ran to her husband and exclaimed, "Did you know this?" He gave her a look that said she was crazy. It was hilarious.